Hi, and welcome to another Making Sense of It with me, still Emma Kenny.
Yeah, I'm me, still Pete Smith.
We haven't had our names changed by deep poll in the week to still Emma Kenny and still Pete Smith. We're just reminding you that we haven't, like some Coronation Street twist plot where they just replace somebody without meaning anybody has to notice, and suddenly you've just got to adapt to the fact that that person's not the same person. Nobody talks about it. None of the cast are like, Jesus, John's changed a bit. One, now he's a woman.
Yeah.
You know, not that there's an issue if that were to happen in a plot twist during a trans
I think it probably
story.
has, isn't it? At some point.
Maybe.
You know what it reminds me of? The beginning of that podcast, our podcast. I'm Emma Kenny and hello, I'm still... That Australian I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here comedian.
She's bloody brilliant.
I can't remember her name now.
Will you put the link in?
I'll put
You'll
a
have
link
to
in.
try and
I'll
find
put a link
it.
in for the...
She's outstanding.
Yeah, it's a collection of the intros when they come on at the beginning of... But it's not I Am a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here. It's the after one. Or is it? Is it the after
I don't
show?
know. But it's
I think it's the after show, you know, the side show that they do
she's
to it.
hilarious.
Like Big Brother's Little Brother, but the thing that Joe Swash does and stuff in England. And she
comes down and she's like, I'm Kate Jarvis, supermodel,
Yeah.
yacht mistress, and
I'm
genuine good girl.
Yeah.
Every single week. She's
I'm
doing
ex
different.
MI6 spy. But it's hard to describe it because she's
Professional tango dancer.
yeah. And she's, I mean, a comedy stand-up routine's okay, but on the
She's funny.
On the Australian, it's the actual Australian I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here as well. It is hilarious. So I'll put the link underneath. So how do we do it? There.
Yeah. Me and Pete also, we go to bed sometimes, and like most couples, we talk before we go to sleep, amongst other things. Wink, wink, nudge,
Nudge,
nudge.
nudge.
And we watch videos occasionally, don't we? Little short videos. Now, we don't watch any talent competitions. We don't watch any of that in our household. Lots of reasons. One of the big reasons is I think it's a form of bullying. I think those initial rounds are all about, let's get a few people who might not be mentally very well stable or may have been brought up by a narcissistic parent telling them that they can sing, even though they sound like they've literally drowned a rat.
Yeah.
And then people just point and laugh at them and go, how dare you think you've got a talent, right? I think it's awful. But we do like the ones where they've done well, don't we? And we get the like little snippet and it's like amazing voice. And I don't know, you've got Lithuania and there's some girl comes on and sings like she's a 53-year-old opera singer, but she's 6. So we sometimes watch videos. And there was a video of an American woman who's a comedian. And she goes on stage, doesn't she?
She does.
And she's hilarious. And she says basically that she has to go to therapy, which a lot of Americans go to. But she's like, no, I had to go because of the court order. And then she says that the therapist says to her, you know, do you drink on your own? And she says, no, because I've read all the things in the reception. It says like, you know, if you're an alcoholic, if you drink on your own. I wait until my kids come home. And it's just like brilliant. And it's like, it's so funny because in therapy, that's what it's like.
Yeah.
When you first get to know your therapy clients, they come in and they're like on their best behavior. Yeah. And you're like, do you take any drugs? No. I've never taken drugs, ever. Why are you presenting with a cocaine addiction? I take cocaine, just cocaine, occasionally, most nights. And it's like this desire to just impress, but I just thought it was really funny watching that because that is just exactly the kind of
I'll
way
see if I can find a
frame
link
it.
for that as well and put that underneath.
Look, this is actually becoming a podcast dedicated to snippet videos based on comedy.
It is, yeah. I noticed how you suddenly, you can just see, you're trying to squeeze an accent in there.
Coffee.
Yeah, the
Well,
American
I don't
quality.
know what you're saying.
Yeah.
I don't know what you're saying. Like, all I'm saying is that she sounded a bit like that.
Is she
She
from
didn't
like...
sound like that, actually, so.
No, she didn't.
She had a really strong accent like that. That's how she sounded.
Oh.
She even sounded a bit like that. Like she gargled with some kind of very sharp fruit.
Yeah, sharp flute.
Fruit.
Oh. Anyway, on another note, I'm back on top now.
Well, you don't know yet. You've not had the results. The doctor might ring you because he's going to talk to you about your lifestyle choices.
Yeah, apparently.
Going to have to get rid of all the prostitutes and the drugs.
God, dearie me.
That's all I'm saying.
Oh, dearie
That
me.
hobby that you took up saying yes to it.
I know. Screw fishing. Just as
Sex, drugs, and rock and roll.
sexy prostitutes and serious injection drugs and
Stop.
yeah.
Going too far and too deep into this now.
You started it.
Children might listen to this channel.
Yeah, I know. Not that probably not.
Oh, you know what? I don't know whether you can hear this, but we've got the windows and doors open in our kitchen, obviously, because we're like fabulously equipped and we have a kitchen studio, which is brilliant because it also is a kitchen. So it's multi-purposeful. And we can just hear all of the birds singing outside. We've had one of those nature weeks this week, and I wanted to start off with this because Pete's very, very, very intoxicated with our garden, which is lovely. We really didn't have a garden before at all. No. So we had like a 10-foot garden, didn't we? And we never went in it. It was just like there. You'd see it through the conservatory.
It's falling to bits.
Yeah, the conservatory was falling to bits too. Most of my house was falling to bits, if we're completely honest. It was definitely when estate agents put doer-upper on the literature. Doer-upper project.
Doer-upper. Oh, got it for a steal though, and they're doing it up. So
yeah,
but yeah,
they did get it for a steal. We were like, yeah, just have it. Anyway, so we didn't have a garden. Now Pete hasn't had much confidence, have you, about your multi-purposing DIY task opportunities?
No, I've
but
always wanted
you
to rush
are turning
things.
out to be really good. Turning out to be really, really good. And as you can hear, if you can hear, and if you can't hear, it's lots of little birds tweeting. Oh, he's turning the microphone so you might be able to hear it. Listen. Now, you might just be listening to silence, but if you are, we apologise because it was quite loud.
I mean,
here.
the birds actually turned it up for a second then, as if they knew
It
I was pointing
is.
the microphone at them, which, yeah.
We're not saying it like we've controlled nature, but just saying it did turn its nose over.
I've got a feeling, I think I know where this conversation's
Anyway,
going.
you
I
don't know,
think
actually.
I know where this
Don't know yet.
conversation's going.
Don't know yet. But some of our listeners might, because they might have been on Twitter last night, but nevertheless, it doesn't start there, it ends there. So
Oh, is
let me tell
that
you.
the finale?
So he's been doing our garden. So we've moved to a place where we've got like a 120-foot garden, which we are very, very lucky. And if we live in the north, anyone can afford a garden.
Yeah.
But we've got a slightly bigger one because just the woman was lovely who lived here, and they couldn't get rid of the trees in the back garden, could they? Because they're under a special order. So they had to build around it. So we've got a lovely big garden. But he's been going out, doing all this work, and it looked looking good. But part of that is confronting nature. We have owls in the garden, beautiful owls. We have squirrels, which we feed. We have lots and lots of birds. In fact, this week we have fledglings.
We do.
So fledglings are baby crows. And they look, when they're fledglings, like fully grown crows, just a little bit lighter brown.
Yeah, a little bit smaller, but within days they become the size of, they're big. I mean, you could see them, you'd think it's a bird, a proper bird.
Well, it is a bird.
Yeah,
It's
you
not
don't
like,
look at it and go,
it's not like
Christ,
a frog
it's an
spawn
elephant.
where you have to confuse
Yeah.
yourself. What is that?
It's
It looks
really-
nothing like it. It really does. It's not like just like it's not like a head with just like legs, is it? Anyway,
It's a really small horse,
go on. I wish they were.
wouldn't it?
I wish they were.
Sinbad had a really small horse at one point.
Was that because Sinbad was really small?
No, Sinbad just had, at one point, I'm sure they had a tiny, small flying horse. Unless that's just me making up Sinbad movies that never existed. I'm sure there was about 500 Sinbad movies, but I think
Cross-sectioning it with My Littlest Pony.
I think there's only 2 or something, 2 or 3.
No, it's just that they kept doing like Jason and the Argonauts and everything, and they were just like had that massive series, didn't they? Where there was always some film with the gods and things like that.
Yeah, I'm on about the originals ones. Yeah, Jason and the Argonauts.
Continue.
Is not Sinbad, is it?
No, but it's the same kind of ilk. It was the same kind of movie.
Same vibe. I get it. Yeah, but
You know what I mean?
Jason and the Argonauts was a great movie.
Again, no. Have you ever watched it as an adult? They're terrible.
Yeah,
They're
shit, yeah,
awful.
it's pretty
They're
shit,
really
yeah.
bad. It's like somebody getting just like holding the thing and. Anyway, go on, carry on.
I'm just getting mixed up between Sinbad and Jason and the Argonauts now. You know what I mean? I wonder who'd win if Jason and Sinbad had a fight,
Well, probably Poseidon.
or the Argonauts. Right, man, come in and.
The gods are always pretty handy, aren't they, at doing it?
You
No,
can
did you
imagine,
think
it's like
the
an
gods?
Anchorman scene, innit? Jason and like Sinbad, and then like you can't have a fight without us, the Argonauts. The Argonauts come in, then that big Minotaurs, then the
Brick, you had a future
woman,
machine.
yeah.
I did. I had a future machine.
Brilliant film. Anyway, I digress. Yes. What was I talking about? Fledglings.
Fledglings.
Little crows, big crows. Yeah.
Little crow, big crow.
So I found it, and little crow, big crow, cardboard box doesn't fit really, does it?
In a box. A little crow would fit in a pretty small box.
Yeah.
Fledgling would be a slightly smaller box. Owl, pretty large box. By the way, if anybody's listening, don't do that to any animals unless
depends.
you're transporting it to a bird sanctuary, for example. And with the owl, don't get it at all. They've got massive talons and huge beaks. They'll have your eyes out.
Unless it's a small one.
It's a tiny little one.
Yeah.
And then you can stand the biting.
Yeah.
Anyway, tell us about the
fledglings.
fledglings.
You can stand on it then. I said, bloody hell.
There would be never
know,
any
not
suggestion
in this
about
one.
violence towards animals at all.
Oh, standing on owls.
Hey,
look, here comes Emma Kenny again. Oh, she's that woman that stands on owls.
There was outrage the other day, that guy at McDonald's who ran over those bloody ducklings.
Oh, I don't want to know.
What a toss bag.
Didn't read that.
What a toss bag. If that had been me, even though I'm not a violent person, I would have dragged him out of his car and beat him to death with his burger. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. And if it had been a small burger or just a pack of fries, it would have taken longer. But in the end, if you hit somebody long enough and hard enough with an item, it'll cause at least severe bruising, if not injury.
Yeah, I don't know about this man that's done
well,
this.
Anyway, carry on. Talk about the fledglings.
So yeah, I found it. I found one first. Didn't know there was one. So I
he gets dead excited and he comes in and tells me, he's like, look at this.
You've got to be careful because it's out there. And I was wondering where.
And it was just sat, wasn't it, on top of a piece of wood?
Yeah, just looking at us. And apparently, they just don't move.
No, it didn't
You go
move.
to them. I mean, so we give it some food just in case. And then realise it's parents. And what they do is, the fledglings, the parents stay within like 50 feet of them and look after them where the nest is. And apparently they leave the nest, so it's easy for them to.
By the way, you've not tuned into Spring Watch. This is still the podcast that we're doing. Continue.
Making sense of crows. And so it was both the parents were there and they chased off with the birds and they were coming down and feeding it.
Is it like...
Yeah, it was making noises. And then it hopped off to the back of the garden and realised there's another one there. So brother or sister. So they've both been living in the back garden. I've been watching them grow. Well, I went up the other day and I've been doing some work on the...
Because our garden's really safe, isn't it? Because it's really enclosed.
Yeah. So I was doing
really
some work
high
on
fences.
our decking, and one of them had got underneath the decking and it actually, I had my gloves on and it let me pick it out and it jumped on my hand and it jumped out.
Oh.
Yeah. So I'm mates with it now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're basically an ornithologist.
I am, actually.
Yeah.
Bill Oddie's coming on later.
Yeah.
Body.
So we're very excited about this new adventure that we're having in the garden. So Pete, the other day, obviously I'm already enchanted with the fact that we have these gorgeous little fledglings and they're going to be okay as well. So they're doing really well. So they are going to be able to fly off soon because they're flying properly, but they're just staying in the garden because it's like their safety area.
I have a feeling they'll come back themselves as parents next year.
Because the parents basically can protect them because it's so enclosed and the fences are so high that you can kind of stop the predators from getting them. And if cats come near them, they just go down and bomb them. So it's a really, really
and our
effective
dogs
way.
don't touch them. So
Our dogs are just like, yay, what's that? New friend.
I think that stops the cats from coming in. Though, so.
Maybe. So that's where we're up to. So last night, I'm sat in the kitchen and I'm just getting on with whatever I'm doing. Probably just made my tea. And he comes out and he goes, do you want to come and see a vole? And I was like, oh my God. A mole. You said it was a vole.
I said mole.
Well, it was all vole. It was vole last night.
Well, I looked carefully and I thought it was a mole.
He thought it was a mole. Okay, so he thought it was a mole. I thought it was because moles are big. You know what I mean? Moles are kind of quite substantial.
I thought it was a baby mole.
I mean, it was very, very... I'm just going to say... are you sure it was a mole? Was it not a vole?
No,
like the little...
I looked at the back, I thought, God, a mole's small.
The little one. Yeah, I think you're thinking vole, but you're now saying mole.
There's a reason why I can't be...
No, anyway, whatever.
I thought it was a mole. I'll tell you why after you finish the story.
A vole, just to say a vole is like this.
Yeah,
right,
but I'll tell you the reason.
Okay, you can tell me the reason afterwards. Yeah. So it's not going to excuse it. Whatever the reason is, nobody's going to go, oh, God, yeah, easy mistake. So I go out all excited because I actually had an incident with a little vole, which I thought he was saying vole, when I was in the Lake District, and I kept it for a few days because it was injured, and I looked after it, and it was gorgeous. Long story short, it escaped. Probably wasn't ill at all. I was ill at all. I was just trying to look after him perfectly well, just trying to get out of the bucket. Yeah. Anyway, never mind. So I went out dead excited because I wanted to see this gorgeous little creature, and I went over, and he's like looking at it, and it was a dead mouse's head. It was the severed head of a dead mouse that had obviously been dropped by a predator, probably the owl, and it had landed on our decking. And somehow Pete had not only seen it, in spite of it not moving, it wasn't a moving head, and thought, ooh, that surprisingly severed head-like mouse look of a mole, I will go and tell my wife to come and see it. It was the most disappointing nature experience.
It's terrible. Terrible, really. It's just because I looked at it and it was just sat still. And I was like...
It was sat
Yeah, but
it
the way
wasn't
it's back,
sat
I was like...
anywhere. It was not sat.
It was glued
was
to the
a
deck.
head.
Yeah, it was just a head.
It was the position.
Perfectly
like,
bitten off
it
and
had its
spat
eyes
out.
closed.
Yeah, that's
and
what I thought it was a mole. But I thought...
Wait a minute. This is your reasoning.
No, the back end of it tapered off like a little
It
mole.
didn't taper off. I didn't need any more than walking over to look at it to go, it's a dead head of a mouse. It was clearly a mouse.
Yeah, as I got closer to it, I was like, hang on a minute, that's not a mole. That ain't no mole.
So do you know what he did? He was devastated, so he buried it and he put a cross on it because it turns out that the mole
give it
or
a burial.
bowl must have been C of
Said a
E.
little prayer in several different religious texts.
He didn't say that. It was because somebody said, have you made sure that you've done the Torah and the Quran?
Did everything.
Go on, what's the Torah one? It's not a bloody Native American, the Torah. The Torah's Jewish.
All right. There you go. That's Jewish, isn't it?
I
Ashkemesh. I
want to
don't know.
apologise to any Jewish listeners.
And the Quran is, I have no idea of the Quran. And when it's,
So,
Church of England, lost with that one.
so you
Dear
did.
Jesus, welcome to the world and bye to the mouse.
The big question is there a head of a mouse in heaven? Somehow it's snuck through.
Well, yeah, I know, yeah.
Oh, guys!
I've got
There's a
it.
mole! Come look at the mole!
Go look at the mole, everyone. Oh, it's not a mole. How is
Like that crawling along by its whiskers.
God's there. God's like, how is this severed head of a mouse managed to get by?
Hang on a minute, this can't be possible. It's not Christian. Hang on a minute. Oh no! He's definitely got in. He's had a proper funeral. A prayer's been said. The mouse is in. Mouse is like that. Whee!
Yeah, that's what it looked like. So bless it. I did, I didn't stroke his head or anything. You know what I mean?
Well, anyway, that's all I'm saying. That's what's happened. So that's been my experience of nature this week. It's been a funny week this week. I've been a bit pissed off the last few weeks, actually. I've been feeling annoyed about things. Things have been annoying me. Do things annoy you guys at home? I'm sure they absolutely do. But what I think annoys me most is just people.
Yeah. Humans.
Just a lot of people. Not like you guys listening. You're all excluded because you like joining in our kitchen, and that's because you are all the same mindsets as us. But genuinely, aren't some people absolute dickheads? That's the correct terminology. And to anybody who gets in touch with me on my channel and goes, why are you not professional during your podcast? It's because it's not a professional podcast. That's why. And guess what? People who work in the day as a salesman don't go home and then try to sell their family the saucepans and the food that they've bought. It's just not done. You're not the person you are all the time. It would be really sad if you are. And also, it's a bit like people who expect doctors to work all the time. You go to your mates who's a doctor, you don't get them to lie down and diagnose whatever that rash is. It's just not done, is it? It's the same with this podcast. So in this podcast, it's my safe place.
Yeah,
and my safe place says I can call people dickheads.
Yeah, Germaine Greer.
She's just a prick.
Yeah, I know.
Do you know what's really sad about Germaine Greer, apart from the fact that she's a prick? What's sad about Germaine Greer is she was one of my idols when I was growing up. She was one of my idols. She was always a little bit left field. She always had a mouth that maybe took her in a slightly Katie Hopkins-ish but feminist perspective, where you'd always be a little bit like, ooh, Germaine. You know what I mean? A lot of men aren't like that kind of thing, Germaine. You'd feel that way, but at the same time, you'd then think to yourself, but you know what? Here's a woman speaking out for being female, being proud of being female, not taking any shit. And when I was growing up and working class girl, I was looking for my aspirational role models, and I didn't have many. Like Maggie Thatcher was not my aspirational role model. I'm not going to, I'm not, as you know, I'm not Tory. So me and Maggie would never have got on. Do I think I have respect for Maggie Thatcher? I have absolute respect for a woman who gets that far in power. Yep. She had to cross a lot of bridges. She had to work with a lot of pricks. Yeah. And the point is, nobody can take that away from her. So respect to her for that. And I'm sure she was a formidable woman. She's the kind of person I'd probably have liked for a gran, because I wouldn't have had to agree with the position, but I bet she'd have been pretty informative and interesting and intriguing with stories. But nonetheless, we would have completely disagreed about the way that we felt on politics.
The Iron
So I
Lady.
didn't have that kind of connection. And somebody like Germaine, apart from like the icons that I had over in America, like Oprah, for example, or looking back at the suffragettes, or as I always say, Jane Eyre was a big role model for me, like learning that women of a certain era who really didn't have any equality could still strive for it in the books and almost take the mick out of men in the books. Not that I have an issue with men, as you know.
Oh, yeah.
I love men. I think men are fantastic. But she was certainly somebody who gave me that kind of parable of narrative being where I could just tell my story and be proud of who I was. And then I worked my entire life with people who have had very, very difficult circumstances. And that's meant that a lot of the work that I've done has been with abuse survivors. Nature of being, when you work with young people particularly, you come across a lot of people in therapy as young people because they've been abused. Because actually a lot of young people shouldn't have mental health issues because of the fact that their lives should be nice, right? Yeah. So a lot of the kids that you get sent are the ones who've had really awful times, and a lot of that is around sinister abuse.
Yes.
So my experience has always been, these individuals do not choose it. My job is to help them find hope. And as you grow older and you start doing a bit more private work, and you might be doing things on TV or documentaries. So I've done documentaries with rape victims. That starts to change and shift your understanding of impact of trauma, how people survive it, and all of those things. But there's always this fundamental. Oh my God! Oh. Tide, Kenny!
We're right in the middle of something then.
Tide, Kenny! Come here! Come here now! You absolutely... Come here.
Come on.
Terrified me there.
You're getting off it now.
Do you know what's really weird, right? When you first came in, yeah? My little boy, not my little boy, my young lad. Come here now.
You're not getting out of it now.
Come here, now you've got to say hello, because you're on a podcast. You've got to say hello. You've got to do it.
No, you're on a podcast now.
Come here. Come and say hello.
Yeah.
No, get in.
Oh, okay. You know what?
Come on, because we've got to have you on.
Right in the middle of some serious podcasting then.
Just say hello, wave at the thing, just quickly. There. There, say hello. We're talking about Germaine Greer, and you just literally ran into the podcast. Anybody would think we were doing this in a kitchen.
I know, yeah, God. Trying to think that our child...
It doesn't matter how professional you try to make things.
I know.
Children have no boundaries.
No.
In he comes.
I mean, right in the middle of a real serious, deep moment.
Possibly one of the moments that might have been remembered from my career in years to come, or if something awful happens to me.
Is this podcast turning into The Archers?
You just need your cordial with ice. Anyway, Germaine Greer is a modern feminist, but she's somebody who said that all rapists need to kind of man up and get over it a little bit because it's only a penis.
Rapists or rape victims?
Rape victims need to get over it a bit because they shouldn't be horrified by the fact that they've been raped, because it's just, as she said it, an F-U-C-K. They do get beaten up, but also non-consensual sex is rape and has traumatic implications. Do you not agree?
Yeah.
Shout it, please.
Yes.
Yes.
He agrees.
So,
1 second. Tide, you're going to have to go out the back way again, because he snuck in the back way. Otherwise, you'll have to go out the back way again, because he snuck in the back way again. Just so the cats don't get in.
He absolutely terrified me. All I could see was like this head coming through. And it looked like, like a little child, first of all, because of the kind of sunlight.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, that's not a person who should be coming through our back gate.
I just thought it was some random.
That would have been so funny.
Yeah.
No, my mum started back and I started to run away. So she stopped.
Go on the other side.
You're going to go on the side again.
Sadly.
Come on, off
Love
your
you.
pop.
Bye, Baba.
Let me know when he's done.
I will do.
Thank you.
Pleasure.
Over and out.
If that isn't keeping it real, I don't know what is.
It is. It's what it's all about, this.
So, anyway.
Go on, right in the
By
middle
the way,
here.
he should be at school, but he's been to a dentist appointment, so he's not gone back to school. Just to say, that's why I have a child here. He's perfectly well. He just had an appointment. Anyway, so Germaine was one of those people who was stood for something for me. She was like an individual that I really felt encapsulated just the power of being female, and she was unapologetic and she was powerful. And like I said, I had heroes, but I didn't necessarily equate to them in the modern day.
Yeah.
And we didn't have Google, so I didn't know what was going on pretty much anywhere in the world. I'm sure there were a million role models that I could have followed, but you didn't really have access to it,
No, you had to read about them, didn't you? Really?
So they came to me through poetry and literature. Simple as that.
Yeah.
And the other day when I saw that interview where she basically accuses, she is accusing women who've been raped of almost like making people feel that we shouldn't feel that sorry for them. It's just a fuck. Yeah. It's just a penis. It's not a knife. And you take a moment, and the thing is that Germaine Greer has been raped, and she was raped violently. So therefore that puts her in a position of authority. It makes her feel like she has a right to say that she has stood in that position and she's been okay, and that you can't ruminate on it. You can't allow it to affect you. You can't say that it was wrong to the degree that deserved them being incarcerated, because actually she thinks that sentences for sex offenders should be reduced. And I was listening, and when you have one of those awful situations where people say, don't meet somebody who you've always had and admired in real life, because a lot of times they'll just fall short of it.
Yeah.
That's what happened.
Yeah.
And I feel a bit not violated, because I've not been violated, but I feel like the fabric of my formation has been violated. I feel that what I built some principles on has been broken. I
think it's a very, very ignorant look at it. I think it's a very, very dangerous opinion to spout out. And I know she has a book coming out, so I don't know whether it was
more PR, isn't it?
Some sort of, really low version of PR or bizarre way of
I think she thinks
PR stunt. Yeah,
I think she thinks it.
Yeah, I know, but the PR company would have been jumped on that and said, say that, because it'll make people buy your book. I just think it's a very stupid thing to say.
The thing is that, we already know that 80% of women and men, to be fair, don't report rape. In fact, probably the highest statistic for men, because men just don't feel like they can. And, until very recently, there wasn't even a classification for male rape. It was considered bullying. It came into bullying. Can you believe that? I mean, how crazy is that? But since we've kind of recognised the impacts, and that's what we're talking about, impact, a penis isn't a knife. But the truth is, if you said to me now, do I want to be raped or do I want to be stabbed? I'll take stabbing. Yeah. I'll take stabbing. I can kind of deal with that. I can process it. Yeah, it'll make me feel vulnerable. Yeah, I might have some trauma, but as long as I survive it, then the chances are that stabbing I can put down to like a violent episode that was not even necessarily about me. It might have been about a violent incident I was involved in. But the thing about rape is it's intimate, it's personal, it's violent, it's humiliating, it's powerful. It's absolutely coming into play probably some of the largest psychological violence indicators that we see within trauma. And the idea as well that a woman who gets drunk and then a guy has sex with her, even though she's saying no, is less of an issue than a guy, for example, who drags somebody down an alley. Now, the problem there is what you do is you pit two entirely separate incidents and you place them in the same category. And then you say, oh, well, that one's clearly worse. Well, number one, actually, statistically, no, it's not. What we often see is some of the worst incidents of rape occur in marriages. They occur when a partner is in a loving and trusting relationship with a partner, and then they have that trust violated, sometimes consistently. It breaks down their whole fabric of truth and being and trust within relationships. So actually we see that can be easily as traumatic as being banged over the head and dragged down an alley. Now, you take the person drunk at a party having non-consensual sex with a guy who's put himself on top of her because she can't say no, and again you bring it to the person in the alley and you go, well, she's just asking for it. She was drunk. Absolutely not. That's not the case. She was intoxicated, which means she can't consent, and now has to deal with the trauma of firstly having all of those guilty feelings because she's questioning herself and saying, maybe if I hadn't worn that outfit, maybe if I hadn't have got that drunk, maybe if I hadn't have let him near me, maybe if I'd made myself more clear. And she's doing that. So then we have the trauma of that rhetoric in her mind saying, I'm guilty, I'm guilty, I'm guilty. That's then an additional trauma. And then we have the girl dragged down the alley. Of course, everyone can go, that's deeply traumatic, because then that isn't just actually about rape. That's about violent abuse, aggression, and rape. It's an addition of rape to an already incredibly violent scenario. In fact, if somebody just dragged you down an alley and beat the crap out of you, you're going to be as traumatized because you've been violently harmed. But the point is, you can't weigh rape up here to rape up there. It's all about the subjective experience of the individual. And one person can be like Germaine and believe that she's okay, she won't be held back by that she's coped, she's not had any incidences.
A lot of women men have been raped who are like that,
you know. And they're fine. Yeah. They genuinely are. And testament to them. Everyone. Exactly. And then there's a person who got got non-consensually raped at a party with a guy that she liked but didn't want to have sex, and she ends up killing herself.
Yeah.
So the idea that you can pit rape against each other and then go, guys shouldn't get as stronger sentences, that is so wrong. And all I've ever had to deal with and come across in my career is women and men who feel that they are not entitled to have happy sex lives because somebody fucked around with their happiness at some point, whether that's sexual abuse as a child, whether that's powerful relationships as adults. And you sit there, and my job is to help them see that they can reclaim their power, that nobody has the right to allow them to be held back by those experiences. And that's bloody hard. But the point is that in helping them to free themselves, my job isn't to go, because otherwise you're weak. Otherwise, you know, you're letting these people just be powerful over you and you're pathetic. My job's to say, don't let them have power over you anymore, but know that they did have power over those experiences that you experienced, and that you should feel totally validated to have all those feelings. And what she's done in one foul swoop is like all of that bloody right-wing brigade who's like, just get on with it.
Yeah, no, I mean, there's actually, you know, there's... God, yeah, I mean, it's the word when the right wing brigade calling people snowflakes, and it's like it's sort of that, isn't it?
Yeah,
like, let the snowflakes get over it. And with Germaine Greer being at the head of like a sort of media, not so much a campaign,
but massive feminist.
Yeah, massive feminist, and you know, known across the world, you know, and been on many stations, many publications, books, whatever, for just to say the irresponsibility that she's shown by saying that. I think she's let herself and the thoughts get away with it on screen. And, you know, and she's just thought she's had to back it up, hasn't she? You know,
so sad.
I wonder if she is regretting saying anything like that.
No. You rationalise that that's your right. And she'll have had a lot of support.
Yeah.
It's like, even though I put Germaine Greer as a prick on my wall, most people were really positive, and then some people were like, I can't believe that you're saying such a negative thing about her. And it was like, well, actually, I can't say what I want to say, because if I said it, it would offend children, and it would offend quite a lot of people.
Not that I had time for it.
No, I haven't, really, and it's really sad. And then I kind of look at people in general, and I know that 99.9% of human beings are brilliant, right? I really do. Like, I love them. But you give people a bit of power, and oh my God. Like, so there's one thing I think that I do in my life well, which is I know my place, right? I know it. I'm just a dead average, ordinary human being, right, who tries to do as little harm as I can going through life and help as many people as I can, because that's my philosophy, right? I'm not saying it's the only philosophy. I'm not saying it's the right philosophy, but it certainly is a philosophy that I live by. And part of that is I don't care who you are, where you come from. I will always speak to you exactly the same as I would speak to somebody, whether they were Prime Minister or otherwise, right? Because as far as I'm concerned, you people, put your jackets on, put your titles on. You walk around a graveyard and you find me something that says beloved accountant, beloved psychiatrist, beloved whatever. Would you, Jack? You don't mean nothing. You don't mean nothing at the end apart from your relationships.
Absolutely.
So you better watch out about the way you treat people, because that's all you will be remembered for in the long term, right? And that might not have no meaning to people in this life, but to me that has everything. When I die, I want everybody who comes to my funeral and anybody who knows me to go, she really, really was a decent person. You know, she really was. She lived her life and her truth honestly, you know?
Yeah.
She was definitely imperfect. She definitely swore too much. She definitely said things that were probably not politically correct at times, but she genuinely tried her best. And if she offended you, it was never meant to be something that was threatening or offensive, without it having at the side of it a bit of black comedy that genuinely wasn't really aimed directly at anybody. And I hope that people kind of can see that.
That's going to be on your headstone.
Absolutely. Like, somebody said to me this morning, somebody from a radio station sent this big email to me today about doing a piece for them on the radio. I was like, yeah, cool. And they introduced me to somebody, and there was like this long introduction about this eminent psychologist, Emma Kenny, and she's been in this and that, and she's very kindly agreed to be on the show. And then said, is this all right, Emma? And CC'd the woman in, and I wrote back and said, well, with that introduction, I'll give you a kidney. And sent it, and didn't even think about it. But really could be quite offensive, couldn't it? But obviously what I'm trying to say is, come on.
Especially if it went to the person and they've actually given a kidney.
Yeah, or needs a transplant, which is even more worrying.
Yeah.
But it's that kind of thing that I just live my life by. And recently, it's something about years, isn't it? We have like years where it's fine. And then we'll have like a year of people who are like, oh, who do you think you are? What are your qualifications? Where do you come from?
Yeah.
How can you have those opinions? You know,
I'm better than you.
and you sit there and you're just like, I can let this hit me and stick, or I can just be like, it's okay. I don't need your affirmation. I don't need your approval. But the human bit of you that kind of wants to reject it can't help but catching just a snippet of it and like using it against yourself. And I find myself in that situation where I'm like, oh, maybe I do need to do some more training, or maybe I do need to do some more things, or, and it's so frustrating because it's a process of being, isn't it? You don't want to feel that way.
You've got the right qualifications anyway.
I know.
You've gone all the way. You know what I mean? The only reason you don't want to be a doctor is because you just don't want to do it. That's the only reason that you haven't done that.
I know.
And that's a choice.
I know.
It's not, I can't do it. It is a choice.
I don't need to do a doctorate. I can charter under the independent route, but I just don't want to do it.
I'm sorry, but you can be all doctored up to fuck as much as you want to be. You know what I mean? If you can't work with people when you're supposed to be doing that, to be working with people and to fix them, I'm not talking about operating on people. I'm talking about mental health.
I'd love to have a go at that if somebody would let me.
Hey, let me have a go at that. Backstreet style.
Surely it's just like a game.
Then you can't. You can go straight from bloody studying, and it'll take you 15 years before you can even become anywhere near what you're like. I'm sorry, but you've worked for over 20 years now in the industry, in the field, and you've helped thousands and thousands and thousands of people, mostly for free, might I add. So
it does frustrate me. But at the same time, it's like, that's what I'm talking about. I have to stay true to those feelings, which are like, when I die, I don't want to be remembered as like a psychologist. I want to be remembered as a kick-ass mom, a kick-ass wife, a kick-ass daughter, a kick-ass sister. That's what I want to be remembered for. Yeah. I want to be remembered for being a human being that had meaning. And I don't need to live by a protocol of title. And it just frustrates me. And it frustrates me that there are people out there that I think that they live their life believing that that makes them better. And I think to myself, like, who needs to walk around feeling better than another person? Who needs to walk into a room and go, and actually I was talking to an academic the other week, and they were going, well, at the end of the day, as soon as I did a PhD and got my doctorate, people treat me differently. I get taken more seriously. And I'm like, no, that's not okay. That's not okay. Because I can do a PhD, or I can do my chartered. I don't even need to do a PhD. I can charter under the independent route. I don't want to do it, because the thing is, I don't want to say I'm better than you, or I feel better than you, or I think I'm better than you. I'm not. I'm just Emma. You can keep all your titles. I'm just Emma. And you'll meet me as a human being. And if you're in distress and I can solve that distress with you, then we'll find a way together. Yeah. And equally, I watch as I see so many people feeling that title, that authority rejects their belief that they can attach to that relationship. Yeah. They see
it's funny because you go all the way through to your masters, which you've done. And
I've done more than that. I've done like years and years of specific therapeutic training
trauma
as well.
Specialist and everything, And it's like, so people suddenly think that you get to that, and all of a sudden, you do that, which is really hard, and what you've done it in. And then all of a sudden you go, I can't do a doctorate because it's too hard for me.
I know.
It's like, come on, you can go all the way. It's a choice-based thing.
It's amazing
and
though
if you've got loads of money, you can do it.
It's amazing though how it can still make you kind of, even like 20 years down the line, it can still kind of make you go, and there's a bit of you that goes, right, screw it, I'll just do it. And it's like, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do what other people tell me is the right route, because that's one of the big things. You know what? No organisation has ever changed the world. None. No organisation will ever change the world. None. It's an individual. You find one person and they go their own way. You look throughout time, through medicine, through philosophy, all of those areas, even through psychoanalysts, you look at things like Freud, a bit mental, but nonetheless, they go their own way. They don't fit the party line. They don't toe the way that other people are acting. They don't believe it. They do it their way. And in the end, that's what changes the world. And it's really, really compelling to me that people can't make that connection. Like, I used to describe myself in training as an ethical maverick. I just try things, and sometimes they work, and most of the time, to be fair, they work.
Shush, Poppy.
But sometimes, I learn to regroup and think again about how I do it, I use humour a lot through my client-based work, because people who start to laugh start to feel comfortable, and people who feel comfortable start to talk about their issues and feel that, it's more of a process where they connect. But there are some clients who just are not in a position where they want somebody to crack a joke, But I remember people being like, but that's your defense mechanism. That's your defense mechanism, that you need to make them feel laugh to make yourself feel comfortable. No, I don't actually. What I need to do is I need to make this person who's frozen and silent feel that I'm here and I'm with them and we can go on this journey together and I've got their back.
Yeah.
And you know what? That's what every single client leaves my room feeling. And I know that. I quantify that by my not having failed to attend, by my not being able to take on enough people, because honestly, I can't do it. I literally can't do it. I can't open my private practice because it's too many people coming and I haven't got time and I have to reject them. So I just kind of keep it that free clinic and things like that. But I just feel at the moment like it creeps up and you think you've dealt with things. And I think it's the same in area of your life. You kind of settle, don't you, for a while. And then there's something that causes some friction.
Yeah.
And the friction makes you go, right, what am I going to do with this? Am I going to grow? Or am I going to change? Or am I going to listen to the party line? And it's like, no, like, I'm going to keep growing. But it's not in that direction. It's in my direction.
Yeah.
And a lot of people get a lot of crap because even me, like, I'm lucky in the fact that I'm registered, I'm accredited, you know, I've got numbers, I've got insurance, I've got all of the things in place because I've reached a certain level, right? Do I buy into that? No. Mm-hmm. Do I think that makes me better than the woman I met yesterday who's doing like life coaching and stuff with no qualifications at all? No, because she's amazing, the girl I met yesterday. She's an amazing woman. She's one of those people who's just a natural healer. You can just feel to be around her. She's not going around going, I'm ABC. She's just going, I want to help people. I want to change the world a little bit. And you're thinking to yourself, the minute that we create that divide and what we say is, well, it's because the person coming to see you needs to know that you're safe. I appreciate the fact that you need to be a safe practitioner, but how do we know anybody's safe? Surely it's the individual attending that makes that call. So whether you've got a qualification or otherwise, what really matters is, as a client, do I get it? Do I feel it? Do I connect with it? Do I feel that you're going to take me on a journey that's going to be safe and good?
Yeah.
And we're going to get somewhere? And if that means that you are, then let's do this. But equally, if you've got all the letters after your name and you're a professor of ABC and I walk into your room and you don't have to speak to me, it's not going to go anywhere.
Yeah. I also think, you know, there's a little bit of, I think some I mean, not all academics, you know what I mean? But some of these academics that you come across, I think they're actually scared of you for the fact, not scared of you as in like, you know, the level. I think it's because you can actually, you can communicate not just with them and you can communicate in their way, but you can also communicate with the normal person, I say normal person, as in somebody who isn't an academic, you know, person on the street, the clients, you know, you can communicate with them, but then you can also, like Russell Brand put it to you, he says he knows, he sees and he loves the way that you can communicate on an academic level, or academia, and the way you debate, and you know that's it's possible for you to do that. And he mentions that in his podcast with you. He chats about that, but then also being able to communicate with all the way down through, you know, different levels of academia through to normal people on the street, you know, like the clients and stuff like that, and be able to fix them. I think that can scare some academia who can only speak in that way or think that they're better, but then they realise is that I don't know, I just find that that's...
I speak common sense. Do you remember?
Well, there we go, yeah.
Because she bloody keeps speaking common sense.
Yeah, what accent's that then?
It's a bloody annoying person on Twitter.
Hello, I'm Emma Kenny. Oh, that's the lady who can speak. Oh, I'm Prince Charles. Oh, that's the lady who can speak common sense.
I remember reading about Gandhi when I was younger, and Gandhi used to hold like...
Good actor, him.
I used to, so much like, you know, he used to do free meetings where people come and ask for advice. And this woman turned up and said, I'm worried about my son, he's eating a lot of sugar. And Gandhi said, she said, can you tell him to stop eating as much sugar as he is doing? And Gandhi said, go away and come back in 3 weeks. And so she went away and came back in 3 weeks. And the son went up and he just went, stop eating sugar. And she went, why did you wait 3 weeks to tell him that? He said, because 3 weeks ago I was eating sugar. And he learned to communicate on the level of the people that he worked with. So the thing about Gandhi was that he always tried to communicate in a mode that worked for the person that he was communicating with. So he would follow and empathise with that and kind of be in their shoes. And that was a really way of affecting kind of peace. And that was one of the reasons why he was such an excellent communicator.
I think I need to watch that movie again.
Yeah.
It's been a long time to watch Gandhi.
I've not seen it.
I mean, what a phenomenal man.
I know. But everyone's got their own viewpoints and skewed perspectives of everybody, haven't they? Like, people look at people's lifestyle choices or lovers' choices or sexuality choices and then kind of try to cloud whether somebody was brilliant at another thing or another thing. And it's weird how we try to discredit people just through their difference.
Well, the Dalai Lama, look at him. You just look at him and you can just see peace in him, peacefulness, you know, and he's just, I don't know, it's just some people just, you know, ooze it.
I know it's weird, isn't it, that people can just like have that spiritual being and that connection with the world.
Well, I think as we've mentioned this before on this podcast, and it's like, I don't know, with the age thing with me, I've I'm now the acupuncture sort of stuff. I'm calming, feeling a lot calm. But I think I'm starting to fall in love with the world a bit more. The gardening,
Well, that's
nature,
mindful practice.
I feel like I don't know.
Dead nice.
I'm experiencing a bit of an awakening, like I mentioned before. We say existential
crisis.
but I think it's an existential awakening. And you go
The
through a
thing
bit of a crisis to get to that awakening, maybe. And I'm just feeling like I don't think I'm scared of death anymore, or scared of what's to be, and and my brain's opening a bit more about certain things, and I'm looking and enjoying, and the touch, the smell, the feel of things. It's I don't know.
Mindful practice, though, getting out in nature and just being with nature is like a major connection. And it really is. It kind of reminds you of how tiny you are. Like, we all sat around the table. So I have my family around quite a lot. Actually, Pete's mum and dad are coming this weekend, so we'll be talking about that next week. But I have my family. I'm quite traditional in the fact that I like having my mum and dad around and extended family, like on a Sunday. And they were around on a Sunday, and we were all sat around the table, and my dad was just trying to conceive the fact that, for every grain of sand in the world, there is like a universe. And he was just going, I can't. And he was just like, and you sit there and it tries to expand your mind.
Yeah, you think about like a human.
But that's what you're saying. It's that it's that connection of being. It's that sense of, and that's the thing. That actually nicely goes back to my frustration. My frustration is, you are like not even a beginning of a breath in life. You are not even an inhale. Your massive meaning to you, it's got such little reference for this world. You might be one of those who, like Bill Gates, is transformative, or Louis Pasteur, or you might be somebody like Nelson Mandela, and your name will go down in history, but you will still be fleeting. You will still be fleeting. One day we will be the dinosaurs of our age. So if you get hung up on what you think your importance is, you need a rain check. You need a rain check, because how is your existence dealing with world poverty? How is your existence dealing with world disease? How is your existence emancipating women from the chains of the tyranny that they're living with in their world? And if you're not doing it, screw you. You're not important at all. I don't sit there and believe that my being has any impact on this world apart from in a very, very micro state, right? And I know that has very little benefit in the long term, apart from the way I feel about my life having some meaning, and hopefully the people that I impact on. Like, when you do nice things for people, you're always doing nice things for people in your editing. You'll do things for free. You'll help people get themselves started, because that's what you do. We know that we're doing the best we can, but it's crap compared to what some people are doing, you're devoting their lives to. So when I get some jumped up academic telling me what I am and what they are, it goes back to the rudimentary frustrations of a teenager, where you just want to slap them around the face and go, wake up, wake up, wake up. And your separateness, your division, means that you will never ever know what it is like to be truly loved. You will never know, because you have it, you hold it, you keep it up there to such a degree that you isolate yourself. You don't have it. And don't get me wrong, 90% of academics are nothing like that. That's the irony. Like, all my friends are clinical psychologists, forensic psychologists. They're amazing, and they have hearts of gold. So this is not me trying to be negative about people.
It is a minority.
It's the tiny minority of people. And the bigger picture of it is that what I really want to do is go, what is lacking for you that you need this? What is lacking in your personality and your being and your life that means you need this to stand on? It's so sad.
I know.
It's so sad.
I know. I do find it hard to get out of that sort of the zone of
You
being
just
in
want to
school.
beat everyone up,
Yeah. It's like, I just see how much you do for people, and it just really annoys me.
But not compared to like so many people.
Oh no, yeah, absolutely.
That's the irony, isn't it?
We're nothing. I mean, you see people who do these things in the media, on TV. These wonderful everyday people that are just altruistic, and they will go to the end of the earth to help somebody else. And you just think, God, I'm literally not worth anything compared to these people,
It's funny, isn't it, that you kind of look online these days and there'll be like videos of somebody going and doing something nice for somebody. And I watched them and everyone's like, oh my God, look, he went and got that homeless guy some money.
There should be
and you're just sitting there and you're thinking, oh my God, this is not something that should be a big deal.
Yeah.
This is what we should all be doing all the time. Like, what? It would be weird for you not to do that. It'd be weird for you not to run after that person who's nicked somebody's mobile phone. It would be weird.
Why are you actually filming yourself giving the homeless person a sandwich?
Oh, because you get a million views.
Just give him it.
Yeah, well, you get a million views, don't you? That's why people like viral. Viral's become the new language, hasn't it?
Yeah, it has.
It's a strange one, isn't it?
It's a very strange one, you know. My gosh, we have been making sense of it, and I love making sense of it. It's brilliant, you know. I'm well again. You know, you've got an amazing American accent.
You've got a really nice relationship with a dead mouse that will forever be in our garden.
Not really a dead mouse, or is it?
Vole.
It's a dead mouse's head.
It's a dead mouse's head.
Why is its body?
Well, I think it was ingested and is probably splattered all over our garden in various pellets.
Yeah, well, owl pellet. Owl poop.
Yeah, owl poo.
Owl poo.
Well, thank you for joining us for another Making Sense of It. It's been yet another ranty one.
It has, and we even had our eldest son join in for a second.
I know, but at the end of the day, we could cut it out, but it is quite funny.
Yeah, well, no, I think we should.
Some people would call that a blooper. We just call it our lives.
Yeah, I think we should try and get our sons on this podcast at some point.
Never going to happen. They're never going to do it. They're never going to do it. I keep saying that to them. They're so funny.
Yeah.
Our kids are hilarious. They're hilarious. Like, they're hilarious.
Yeah.
They are hilarious. Like, it's so much fun. It's so much fun being mums and dads to them.
It is. We've got some tales to tell you coming up. We're a fit family now, and
we've not even covered that today, have we?
no, I think we could talk about the next podcast. That, you know, I think we could talk about how we're all working out together as a family.
We are called to batter together.
Some people go for walks and stuff. We do full hardcore hits.
I look like some 1970s mum as well. I'm wearing like these really like awful little shorts and stuff. And
I don't think they're awful little shorts. I think they look great in them.
But also, just to say, this isn't the same red and white T-shirt as the one you've seen before, because I keep saying I keep wearing red and white T-shirts of some sort, but this is actually a new one.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, yes, it may look exactly the same as all the other T-shirts, but it is a new one. So just to make it clear that I do clean.
I've just realised I've come as a hobo today.
Hey, you're rocking it, kid.
You reckon?
You're rocking it.
I've trimmed my beard, but I've got hobo hair.
Thanks for joining us, guys.
See ya.
Be happy.